let's maybe start with the Prime Minister, because I think of all the people that you said there, he probably gathers the most interest and attention.
And he's my boss.
He's your boss.
Yes, boss.
So let's go with that.
Yeah.
What has he said? I know that he had a message. He talked about getting stronger leadership for the next 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
So what does that actually mean?
Well, you'd have to ask him, but from my point of view, I think he has had a specific agenda on the type of PAP candidates that he's looking for to refresh the ranks. I probably said this before many times, but in every general election, usually about a quarter to a third of MPs are refreshed, right? So if you're looking at, now we have 97 seats after the EBRC report came out. So you're looking at about between 24 to 30, up to 33, 34 new PAP candidates coming in. And that's quite a bit.
Are you one of those?
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. The boss hasn't told me yet.
Right.
We'll see in time.
Yeah.
I don't know when this video is coming out either.
Yeah.
So I hope.
Let's see.
So there are a few things that he's been looking for, and he's been very public about it. He's been looking to increase the number of women who are part of the refresh team. I think, if you do look at the cabinet now, it is very much male predominant. There are a few female ministers and office holders, but it would be good to see more women come in. He's also looked at bringing in more diversity from both the civil service and the public service. So I think if I think about the potential candidates now, not that I know who they are, I'm only taking this from what the media is reporting. There is quite a diversity of people from public sector, private sector, and also grassroots volunteers who come up that way, like myself. So I think these are the things that he's looking at doing, and I think it's I think the Straits Times just came out with an assessment, right, of some of the potential candidates that they've seen on the ground, and they're expecting this to be one of the younger fields, right? So most of the potential faces that they have spotted, I think the average age is about 40, which is how old I am actually. So, which is a bit younger than the usual slate of new faces. In fact, some of the civil servants who have resigned in the past couple of weeks, they are also quite young, below the age of 40. So I think it's quite interesting that PM is refreshing, really looking at the long term now, not just one election, but maybe a few. And I think this is what the Straits Times has kind of coined, looking at the 5G sort of in its nascent stage.
Right. Okay, it sounds interesting, but I'm going to kind of push you on that a little bit, right?
Okay.
Because why would an average person why should they sit up and take a closer interest to what PM has said? Because like you said, he's refreshing the party ranks, he wants younger faces, and you're saying that the overall age has gotten younger, they're taking some civil servants. I think even you would agree that when the news releases that, civil servants are resigning, going to join the party, when some NMPs are resigning.
Well, I mean, I just want to, sorry to interject, but the PAP doesn't have a monopoly over fielding civil servant candidates, right? I mean, any party could ask civil servants to run, and Hazel Phua, she used to be a civil servant herself,
right?
So it's just that pretty normal under their contract terms, civil servants have to remain politically neutral.
Right.
So I guess one could assume most of them are joining the PAP, but I think let's not be hasty to assume that's totally correct.
Right. Yeah, fair. But I think you could also agree that a whole host of senior civil servants have joined the party in the past.
In the past, yes.
Right. And so I think in general, in the public's view, you tend to take on the better or more senior or more experienced civil servants, right?
Yeah, probably. That's fair.
Yeah. So if that's continuing,
yeah,
status quo doesn't really change, age gets younger, more diversity in gender representation. I think maybe all the public really cares about is, are my issues going to be sorted? Are people experienced enough to speak to me, to understand? Like you're a guy who has been serving at the grassroots level for 10 years. Wouldn't or shouldn't that be the more important criteria than someone who's maybe well qualified or well experienced in the civil service? So why does this matter to an everyday resident? Why he's refreshing the party?
Look, I think it's a very fair point, a very, very good question to ask. And if I think about how public policy has been made in Singapore, and look, please cut me off if I get too verbose on this. But
I will.
But I think the strength of the Singapore government is that the leadership has always been quite long-term and quite stable. And even PM Wong himself, I mean, he joined politics in 2011. He had a very long runway to get to the position where he is now. And throughout that, he was tested many, many times. And so it's important to bring in people who show high levels of capability and then gives them the opportunity to show their mettle, because obviously at some point PM will have to hand over the title to someone else, and other ministers will probably leave at some stage, at this election or the next election. And I think it is useful for Singaporeans to get to know the capability of potential future PMs, future ministers, and future cabinet level ministers.
Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah. And I think it's also good that we have a younger crop coming in, because it also aligns with, not maybe just for 2 seconds put on my party hat, this whole idea of more representation for a younger forward SG kind of social compact, which tries to look at giving people, more multiple pathways to success, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, now taking off my PAP hat. And I think bringing in younger people who show those attributes or can speak up on those attributes, that's something that will be really useful for the party to have, because it's not just about this GE, it's about proving throughout the next term of government that what the party has said actually are things that the representatives can speak on. So the first step is to do this refresh. Now comes the second step, which is proving to Singaporeans that the party means what they say, and the people actually follow up.
That's interesting, but for me, I guess the central question is still, you've been on the ground 10 years, serving MPS, volunteering.
Yeah.
And you have a direct interaction with residents.
Yes.
This gives you a much better perspective of some of the trials, tribulations, challenges. And this changes, right? It's not fixed.
No, it's not.
And when you get maybe a civil servant, a young civil servant, who has not been doing that, or arguably might or might not have, but looking at it from the policy lens, how are they going to see what you've seen? And also, if they get elected, is it an easy thing to do? Go in, plug yourself in, and really come to grips with how residents are feeling?
Look, everyone will have their own definition of what's easy or what's not. For me, it was not easy. It took me a long time to understand and how to read the messages on the ground, how to decipher what people are telling you versus kind of what they mean, and to build that trust. I would also say nobody can do it all, right? And now again, putting on my PAP hat, which I don't mean to do so much this show, sorry. It's that, we are one party, and so different people will be better at different things. And sure, I can understand, or I can sense different trends that are happening on the ground by the type of interactions I've been having for so many years, or through the kind of appeals that have come through our Meet the People session. But when you have people who haven't been on the ground for so long coming in and then maybe taking up office holder positions, then it's our job within the party to make their voices heard, both within the party itself and also in Parliament. Don't forget, if you look back at the track record of some of the backbenchers in Parliament over the last few terms, there's been very lively debates within their own party, within Parliament, on certain topics that affect the ground. So things like issues around single unwed mothers having access to housing and better care. All of these things are trends that have come up through interactions on the ground that in the end office holders have responded in kind to. So I don't think we should think of it as, this person doesn't have ground experience, so he's maybe not fit to lead. It's that people will take have different, not wear different hats, but people have different abilities, and no one person can do it all, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's the point I'm also trying to move around, is that ultimately people have to vote for these people, and they should be confident and comfortable that they will be able to sit down and understand.